Hi everyone. We have Neil Bath with us, the head of Chelsea's Youth Academy, the head of Youth Development of Chelsea Football Club. In recent years, we have all seen several players playing in the elite level coming from Chelsea's academy. How does the club manage the relationship between players' football practice and every other aspect of their lives, as their relationship with school, the practice of other sports, their participation in social events, etc.?
Thanks for having me on, and hello there. I think to answer that question, we look at every player as an individual, first of all, and every player's kind of background, every player's education, their social background, their education is different for every individual. And in terms of how we manage that relationship, what we like to put in place is that we have a football development program that is specific for that player, but also understanding that the education requirements, we would have, for example, some players that will be doing A-levels. We have some players that are doing things like hairdressing and barbers. We have some players that are keen to do physical and sports science interests. Some that want to do coaching certificates. So what we try and do in terms of education is provide a program that suits every individual, because they're all different. With regards to our interaction with the players socially, we have downtime programs, and we actually have 20 families in and around our training ground, as opposed to, we don't put all our players into like a hotel or boarding. We quite like the idea that our players come into the academy and they still remain living within a family environment. So we have host families where our players live for a couple of years, between the ages of 15 and 17. So they're doing their education on site. They will live with a family local to the training ground 3 or 4 days a week. And at weekends, they go home to their kind of normal place, and they get that balance of mixing with their friends away from the club.
We can say that this is an ad hoc thing, right? Like it's very customized according to each player.
Yeah, for sure. Very customized for every individual.
And is Chelsea concerned with the exchange of experience and knowledge with the world's best football academies? For example, temporarily exchanging coaches, holding training workshops, or having other type of initiative?
We are, and to be honest, Pedro, not just with football. When we reorganised our academy some 12, 15 years ago, we looked at the practice of many clubs across Europe, but we looked at other sports. We have the Olympics going on at the moment, as everybody knows, and we'll be really interested to see, what the best are doing at other sports as well as football. In the past and currently, actually, we've had coaches that take a year away, work at another club, and then come back. We currently have a coach doing this at first team level, but at Wimbledon, which is like League Two in level 3 in England. But we have a coach who goes away for 6 months, gets experience working at first team level, then comes back into the academy. So we are very open to setting up programs where we share information, we share best practice, and we'll be very keen to do that in Europe. Another example was that one of our coaches went to Vitesse Arnhem in Holland and spent a year working in Vitesse and then came back. So this would be quite normal to work this way.
And the truth is that nobody questions the importance of recruiting the best youth players. How important it is, though, to hire the best professionals, not just thinking about the scouting department, but also the areas of coaching and sports management?
Yeah, I think, first of all, we have talent identification. And talent identification includes players and it includes staff. So getting the right scouts and ensuring scouts, they kind of know their local area, they have experience, they have a trained eye. We're now looking at so many things in scouting. There's so much information with regards to data. You can watch many games now on video compared to previous years. So we're looking at how we scout and the areas we scout, but also about the quality of the individuals that we recruit. And this includes coaches. As an example, in terms of our culture, we try and get a balance of ex-Chelsea players that have played the game, some ex-academy graduates that maybe didn't make at the top level, that understand young academy players, and then we look to bring some talent from outside, and we kind of find this third fits really nice in our culture. So that kind of culture feel, talent identification, and then the importance to develop those coaches is key to the way we work.
Would you search to involve also Chelsea's legends in what regards the work with the youth talent you have?
For sure. We have Claude Makelele, Tourandre Flo, Paulo Ferreira. These guys are all working within our youth setup and development program at the moment. Petr Cech is involved. So we have this kind of balance of these big names that have played at the highest level, but we also have a group of guys that have, done their coaching badges, very experienced, played at a good level like academy football. And this combination is very good. You don't want all the legends and you don't want just all the graduates. For us, it's important to have a balance of both.
Yeah. It's a little
as well as Pedro, as well as bringing experience from out of the Chelsea kind of bubble to bring some from outside. And then you put all three together, it creates a really nice, challenging kind of environment.
Okay. At the end is also a mix between theory and the practice, right?
For sure. And experience.
And the experience, exactly. And how important are software and the use of quantitative data in the management of a football academy nowadays? Because as we know, today a team can resort to all type of software, from the ones that help maximizing the team's sporting performance to the ones that improve also the efficiency of its workflow, right?
Yeah, Pedro, I think there's so many systems that are out on the market now that choosing the system, because often they kind of overpromise. And to ensure that we choose the right system is very important. But alongside that, the system is no good if you don't have the right process. So ensuring you have good processes in place so that when you have this data and you have the information, you can maximize and get the best use of the information. Otherwise, you can have lots of data that's telling you not a lot because you're not using it in the best way.
Yeah, for sure. And finally, buying clubs or making satellite club agreements are some of the growing options clubs with a good purchasing power have. How does Chelsea decide which clubs are worth investing in, taking into account their potential, both with regard to the players' development and the visibility they can provide to players?
I think, first of all, Pedro, this is a big area for discussion at the moment because of Brexit in England. The kind of rules around recruitment have changed, and it's a consideration that a lot of big clubs in the Premier League are looking at. But of course, we're also within FIFA and UEFA rules of what we can exactly do in terms of partnership. At the moment, it's something that we're exploring and looking into. But we also feel that just having good relationships, we have a very big loans program at Chelsea, and building those relationships with coaches and clubs away from Chelsea Football Club across Europe and in the UK is really important, because of course we want to send our players to develop to clubs that are going to look after our players, give them an opportunity, but make sure they're in the right coaching environment, make sure there's good kind of welfare and player care around our players. So when they go there, hopefully the player represents Chelsea well, but we know we've selected a club that will look after our players. And sometimes you don't have to have a formal relationship. You can have an informal one, and you kind of just build those relationships. But formally, it's something that we're looking into at the same time.
And regarding the technical side, how important is it that the country and the championship fit the type of English football?
Yeah, it's a point, and it's a bit like my answer to the first question around every player is different. Where you choose a goalkeeper to go at what club could be different to where you choose an outfield player in a certain position. So choosing the kind of style of play from country to country, but across Europe now, I think there's clubs. It's kind of no longer that you'd say all teams play the same in Spain, all teams play the same in Italy, all teams play the same in England. I think there's a lot of differences now across clubs, across European clubs. So it is about choosing the right club, doing your homework, knowing the coach, knowing that style of play, knowing the squad that your player's going into. All these are considered before you look at the next pathway for the player.
Sure, sure. Neil, thank you so much for your presence here.
Okay, Pedro, thanks very much.